I think a lot of hoteliers think that mobile key will reduce the need for the front desk completely. So that's obviously a substantial cost saving. Personally, I don't believe that we'll ever be able to eliminate front desk completely. That's what differentiates us from Airbnb, and it's that having somebody, that the human person, somebody to deliver proper human contact, I think is important. But then you've also got when you talk to a lot of hoteliers that travel frequently there, or business people, they're like, I don't like checking in. I would like to take advantage of something like mobile key to bypass the reception desk.
Yep.
Is that a small percentage of guests, you think? Or
again, it comes back to your guest profile and what you're trying to achieve. But the concept that I want to bypass the reception desk altogether has to be brought into question. Why? And the reason why is it takes so long. It's not because you don't want to say good morning or good afternoon, or I just want to go straight to the room. It just takes so long. And the actual issuing of the key, it takes seconds.
It's the paperwork before that. So it's
correct. It's the identification. It's the taking your credit card for incidentals. It's scanning your passport if you're overseas. It's all those other things. And then there's the proverbial form you've got to sign in 3 different places, fill in your email address, fill in your telephone number, which again is really just there to capture your information to bypass the OTs in the future.
Yes. Yeah. It's a paperwork.
It's not the issuing of the key that takes the time. So there may be a thought process that if I can streamline the check-in process on my phone, so you have an app that you can check in, you can do your pre-authorization on your credit card, you can sign your life away and do everything else that you normally do at reception. Then when you get to reception, you literally just have to show, almost like a COVID vaccine, you've got a green tick. Brendan, here's my green tick. And they go, right, sweet, there's your room key.
Yep.
Again, different way of skinning the same cat, but it may save all of that costs and aggro and ongoing reoccurring fees associated with having to upgrade your locks. So yes, do you need to speed up the check-in process? 100% is bane of most people's lives, and it creates the queue, and it means you've got to have extra staff.
Yes.
But as I say, the key element isn't what slows it down.
And what I suppose we're saying here is that you can pre-check in to the hotel like we've been doing with airlines for years.
Yep.
I think statistically, that article that was published by Qantas said that more than 3/4, so more than 75% of the people or passengers are actually checking in electronically.
Yep.
In the hotel sense, I think I read it's something like 3 or 4%. But there are systems out there that are not app-based. They are what we call progressive web apps. So you don't need to download it. So the guest can be sent an email or an SMS and simply complete, the whole paperwork, the ID, the credit card, the signing of a digital registration card before they arrive. And as you said, streamlines it. I've read that you can actually reduce front desk load by at least 50%. So if you've got 2 staff, you could get away with 1.
Yep.
And then when the guest arrives, they literally present, hey, I've pre-checked in. Welcome. Thank you very much. There's the card. And as you said, encoding a card is seconds.
Yep. So you work on that same scenario again. If we refer back to the airport industry, so you check into a flight to Adelaide, and there are various means of checking in and what have you, but you either end up with a QR code on your phone or a piece of paper that has a barcode on it. But they're actually getting onto the plane, so that final check-in process, there's normally 2 members of staff, and you can get 200 people onto a plane within 10 minutes. Yep. And then the doors close and you take off. But it's not a very personal thing because you're being rushed through a turnstile effectively. And each time you scan your QR code, little beep, and you're allowed in. But the same principle could be applied in a much more professional way. Not saying that planes aren't professional, but in a more hospitality professional way.
Yeah, that's interesting you say that because, and you referenced Adelaide, obviously when I was going to AHIS, when I checked in, with my phone, and the actual attendant said, welcome, Mr. Granger.
Yep.
When I checked into the hotel, I got no eye contact. I got no welcome, Mr. Granger. It's like, can I please have some ID? Can I please have a credit card? Can you please sign here? Press hard, 3 copies.
Yep.
Thank you very much. So I think your analogy is actually a great one. That final, checking in at the gate is very close to front desk. And
Yep.
hotels should be able to do a better job because we're trying to process 200 people in 10 minutes.
Exactly.
So if you allow people to pre-check in, it's up to them when they arrive at the desk. If they want to have a leisurely conversation with your staff, great. They can ask about the property. Your staff can engage with them. If the guest looks like they mean business and they just want a key and they're a regular, you give them the key as well. So I think we can offer the best of both worlds.
Oh, I think every hotel is different. And I think, is there a place for mobile keys in the hotel industry? 100%. Is it BLE or NFC? That argument is always going to keep going. It's like the Betamax and the VHS, or the Holden and the Ford. They both do the same thing. One prefers one prefers the other. But quite where it'll end up, nobody quite knows. But the core thing is, as long as the locks are RFID, that was the biggest step back in 2002, 2003 that really changed the hotel industry, because all those guest complaints about the card losing its information went out the door. It's then really just the add-ons that you can throw onto that. And I think that the argument about the environmentally friendly side of it, say there are ways you can manage that. So I think the hotel locking technology has reached pretty much the pinnacle when it comes to getting the guest in the room. Because remember, it's still those main bits of information: which hotel you're in, when's it going to work, and which room am I allowed in. And all you're doing is just changing the carrier for the information. Yes, lock technology has changed, and you can now go online and you can integrate it into the thermostat, and you can do all sorts of other fancy things. But actually getting the guest through the door hasn't changed. Even COVID hasn't changed that, because it is still a touch point. True. There aren't many hotel rooms that you can go up to where the door opens without you touching it. You still have to touch that handle. So whether you're using a mobile phone, whether you're using a bit of plastic, or whether you're using a metal key, you still have to touch the door. So COVID really is a smoke screen to people going, well, I'm going to use mobile keys and because it's COVID safe. Yeah, not really.
Good point.